Have you ever stopped to think about how some things just work? Like, how does a business figure out the exact right price to charge? Or how does a satellite dish know precisely where to point? Well, it turns out that some of the biggest, most common questions about the world around us can all be answered with one powerful mathematical tool. And today, we're going to crack that code.
So let's start with something simple. Imagine you're just tossing a ball up in the air. It goes up, it hangs there for a split second, and then it arcs back down. We've all seen it a million times. But what if I asked you to calculate exactly how long it takes to hit the ground? Simple addition and subtraction won't work here because the ball isn't moving in a straight line. It's following a curve. And to understand that curve, we're going to need a very special key.
And that key, we're going to call it the quadratic key. It's the one thing that lets us unlock pretty much any puzzle that involves a curved path. We're talking everything from the flight of a baseball to the arc of water in a fountain. It's kind of like learning the secret language of curves.
So what even is a quadratic equation? Well, to put it simply, it's any equation where the most important variable is squared. Raised to the power of 2. That little number is the magic ingredient. Because when you draw a picture of one of these equations, you always get this perfect, symmetrical, U-shaped curve. And it has a name, a parabola. Does that shape look familiar? It should. The path of that ball we threw? Yep, that's a parabola.
Okay, now every single quadratic equation can be boiled down to this one standard form. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, great, letters in my math problem. But hang on, don't worry. Think of A, B, and C as just empty slots. They're placeholders where we can plug in real numbers that actually describe what's happening in our real-world puzzle.
And this is where it gets really cool. In our ball throwing problem, those letters suddenly have meaning. The A stands for the constant downward pull of gravity. B is the initial oomph you gave the ball, its upward speed. And C, that's just how high up you were when you threw it. So you see, they aren't just random letters anymore. They're gravity, speed, and height.
All right, so we can now describe the ball's flight with an equation. That's great. But how in the world do we solve it? For that, we need to bring out the master tool. This is a single, incredible formula that can solve any quadratic equation you throw at it. It doesn't matter what your A, B, and C are. This thing can handle it.
This is it. This is the hero of our story. It's called the quadratic formula. Honestly, it's one of the most famous and useful equations in all of mathematics, and it's about to give us the answer to our puzzle.
And there she is. I know, it might look a little intense at first glance, but I promise you, it's just a recipe. That's all it is. It's a step-by-step guide. All we have to do is take the numbers we have for A, B, and C, pop them into the right spots, and just do what it says. So let's recap. We have our puzzle, the ball flying through the air, and we have our key, the quadratic formula. It is time to put that key in the lock and see what happens. Let's use some real numbers here. In physics, when we're working in feet and seconds, the value for gravity, our A, is -16. Let's say we threw the ball up pretty fast, at 32 feet per second. That'll be our B. And let's say we threw it from a balcony, 48 feet up. That's our C. So our equation becomes -16t squared plus 32t plus 48 equals 0. We're solving for t, which of course stands for time. And the process from here is actually pretty simple. First, we just identify our numbers. A is -16, B is 32, and C is 48. Got 'em. Second, we very carefully plug them into that big formula. Third, we just do the math, the squaring, the multiplying, all that good stuff. And finally, step 4, we calculate the final answers. And yeah, you heard me right. Answers, plural. See that little plus or minus symbol right there in the formula? That's the secret. It means we're actually going to get 2 possible answers. Now, for our problem, one answer is going to be a positive number, and the other is going to be negative. The negative answer would mean the ball hit the ground in the past, which, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So we can just toss that one out and focus on the answer that actually fits our reality. So after we plug in all our numbers and we do the math, we get our answer, 3. The ball will hit the ground in exactly 3 seconds. And that's it. Think about that for a second. We just used pure math to predict the future. How awesome is that? But this whole thing is so much bigger than just one little ball. By solving this one problem, we've cracked a code that applies to a ton of other things. This isn't just some problem you do in math class. It's a real tool for understanding and literally building the world all around us. The great astronomer Galileo Galilei once said, "Mathematics is the language with which God has written the universe." And equations just like this one are a perfect example of what he meant. They let us peek behind the curtain and see the hidden rules that run everything, from how planets orbit to how you build a sturdy bridge. I mean, just look at this. Engineers use these exact equations to design the strong, beautiful arches you see in bridges. Companies use them to figure out the sweet spot for pricing to make the most profit. It helps aim satellite dishes, it's used to plot missile trajectories, and sports analysts even use it to figure out the perfect arc for a game-winning basketball shot. This stuff is literally everywhere.
So really, the big takeaway here isn't just some formula you have to memorize. By getting a handle on the quadratic equation, you've really unlocked a brand new way of looking at the world. You can start to see the hidden math behind every curve, every arc, and every flight path you see in your day-to-day life.
So I'm going to leave you with this question. Now that you have this powerful key in your mental toolkit, what puzzles in your world can you start to solve? What curves are you going to see a little bit differently from now on? The code has been cracked. Now it's your turn to go out and read it.